Hey guys, welcome back to Adlib Talk. And given the lack of new content, new movies to talk about, I've decided to start a sort of very short mini series about the Harry Potter movies. So basically what happened was me and my girlfriend decided to rewatch them all, starting obviously from number one, The Sorcerer's Stone. And, after watching the first four movies, I thought, wouldn't it be a good idea to discuss and analyze these movies which truly defined a generation? And that is what I'm doing right now. If you enjoyed this video, guys, don't forget to leave a like on it. That would be of great help. What would also be of great help would be if you subscribe to this channel. If you still haven't subscribed, please do so. I would truly appreciate. Let's get right into it.
Did you ever make anything happen? Anything you couldn't explain? You're a wizard, Harry.
I'm a what?
So let's start off from the beginning, going back to 1990. These are J.K. Rowling's words on how she came up with the idea of Harry Potter. In 1990, my then boyfriend and I decided to get a flat and move to Manchester together. We would flat hunt every once in a while. One weekend after flat hunting, I took the train back to London on my own, and the idea for Harry Potter fell into my head. Coincidentally, I didn't have a pen and was too shy to ask anyone for one on the train, which frustrated me at the time, but when I look back, it was the best thing for me. It gave me the full 4 hours on the train to think up all the ideas for the book. So basically, after some trouble, J.K. Rowling finally managed to complete her first script of the book, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. She sent it to some publishers who didn't like it, but fortunately, Bloomsbury liked it. They liked the concept of these three kids and their adventures and the magic and the Quidditch especially. And they made a deal, and obviously it became a massive success. Moving on to 1999, and in 1999, Warner Brothers bought the film rights to the book, and this was for a reported £1 million. And eventually production started in the United Kingdom, with Chris Columbus selected to create the film. Thus, the first movie would release in 2001, and it was truly a critical and commercial success, grossing $974 million at box office worldwide during its primary run, and eventually over $1 billion with eventual re-releases. So obviously, we all know by now, Harry Potter was a massive blockbuster hit. The rest is history. Now, context and history aside, I am here to discuss the quality of the movies, looking at it in a more analytical way rather than the way I looked at it back in 2001 when I was, 8 years old. Obviously, for me, back then, it was a perfect movie. It was everything I dreamt of and more. But looking at it now in a more, analytical way, I will try and go through the pros of the movie, what was good about the movie, and also look at the negatives of each one. And I'll start off, obviously, with the movie I'm talking about, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. So the story follows Harry Potter's first year at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry as he discovers that he is a famous wizard and begins his education. The first thing I have to say is the exceptional job they did with the casting, not just for Harry, Ron and Hermione, but for most, if not all, the characters, whether major or minor, with very, very few exceptions. So everyone, whether it's Alan Rickman as Snape, John Cleese as Nearly Headless Snake, we've got Richard Harris as Dumbledore, Maggie Smith as Professor McGonagall, everyone is excellent and imbues each one of their characters with so much personality, whether they get 1 minute of screen time or whether they are an important major character. of the movie, and they truly try to imbue their characters with the personality that J.K. Rowling thought of way back when she was coming up with the concepts and coming up with the ideas for her characters. It's clear that J.K. Rowling had a very strong hand and a very powerful voice in the creation of this movie. The first two movies especially are incredibly loyal and are great fan service for those who loved the books. Are they perfect? Definitely not, and I'll go through it. But I have to say I was truly impressed by how close the first two movies managed to follow the books. Now let's talk about the characters. Harry Potter obviously is one of the easiest characters in literature to empathize with. He is a normal kid after all. He wants to learn, he wants to get a good education, he wants to live a normal life, but he's always faced with these big life-threatening situations, whether it's Voldemort trying to kill him, whether it's a big basilisk trying to eat him. And you feel for him, right? Because you know that deep down Harry is a very good person. He just wants to live a normal life, but he's been tossed into this sort of celebrity status without him even having a choice. And you truly get what he is feeling. Daniel Radcliffe as an actor would improve eventually, because it's very hard to judge the three kids, Rupert Grint, Emma Watson and Daniel Radcliffe in the first movie, maybe in the second movie. Their performances improve quite a bit from the third movie onwards, and they truly develop into great actors. But it would be harsh for me to really criticize them as actors at that age, right? If I had to pass one criticism about the three major characters, Harry, Ron and Hermione, it would be Ron. Now, Ron is a lovable character and everyone loves Ron, but I do feel he got the short end of the stick when it came to the script writing for the three major characters. What do I mean by this? First of all, Rupert Grint clearly does his best with what he was given. He gives us a great interpretation of Ron. Book Ron is an incredibly loyal friend. He's got great knowledge of, the social aspect of the wizarding world. He's the one, after all, who has truly experience in the wizarding world. Harry and Hermione have basically none. And he's also a very funny person, but he's a funny person because he's able to, crack jokes and make fun of people. Movie Ron, on the other hand, is usually the butt of the joke. And he loses a lot of great moments to both Hermione and Harry, because we need to make Hermione the super clever one. And yes, she's clever, but even Ron is not a stupid kid. Ron is very clever as well in his own way.
Whew. Lucky we didn't panic. Lucky Hermione pays attention in herbology.
And he also loses some moments to Harry, because we need to show Harry as being this brave kid. And again, Ron loses some moments here. A lot of people claim that screenwriter Steve Kloves hates Ron, and I don't think that's the case. However, I do feel like he much prefers Hermione, as he himself has admitted, as obviously and clearly J.K. Rowling does. And upon rewatching it, there were quite a few moments when I turned to my girlfriend and I was like, wow, Ron is a real douche sometimes. Characters aside, the Philosopher's Stone had a mighty task. They had to tell a story and also introduce us to so many new characters, was also giving us a clear setting, the setting of the wizarding world and Hogwarts as a school with all the teachers and all the students there. And I really do feel like they did an admirable job at creating a very believable world, very realistic world. It will improve, mind you, but even by the first movie, I think they did a fantastic job, especially with the sets and with the costumes, which I'll discuss very soon. And yeah, that is fantastic. A really very good job in the world building, which is excellent. And obviously, Harry, as a protagonist, is the perfect vessel, as he's clueless about the wizarding world, so we can learn with him, and it doesn't feel off-putting. It's not like people are explaining to Ron what, the Ministry of Magic is, for example. The movie itself has got some great moments. For example, Hagrid's entry. That's one of the best moments in the movie. Him telling Harry, "You're a wizard, Harry." That is also a great moment. And what about the Quidditch? Think about it. It's in 2001. The special effects and the visual effects of that scene are incredible, as they are throughout all the Harry Potter movies, basically. I don't think we ever got a Harry Potter movie with poor visual effects. The budget is clear for all to see. Yes, visual effects improve eventually with each Harry Potter movie. Even by movie 3, it's clear there is a massive advancement in the technology. But rewatching Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, I was impressed by how well the visual effects still hold. Very, very impressive. The Quidditch scene especially is extremely exhilarating, and I also enjoyed there was such a great inclusion of so many mythical creatures. Think about Fluffy, the unicorns, the centaurs, and so many other interesting creatures. This was a bit lacking in future Harry Potter movies, definitely not in the first one. Now, like I've said, set design is incredibly impressive. Once we enter into Diagon Alley, I was so impressed. It's very realistic. People are going around doing their shopping, and the street itself of Diagon Alley is wonderful to look at. And then once you get to Hogwarts, the school itself, the castle is magnificent. There are some fantastic shots of their arrival. The classic shot of, the boats arriving in front of Hogwarts. Truly impressive stuff. And I don't think we really appreciate just how good the set design of the Harry Potter movies is. Truly impressive stuff. It's clear that a lot of the movie's budget went into the set design, into the costumes, and into the special effects. However, the movie's best moments, in my opinion, are its character moments. Think, for example, in the heartbreaking scene when Harry finds the mirror of Erised and he looks into the mirror and sees what his heart truly desires, and what he sees are his father and mother standing by his side, simply standing there and smiling. And that is a truly heartbreaking moment. The music which is going on truly pushes the emotions even further. It's a tearjerker if I've ever seen one. So it's these moments which help develop the character, which in my opinion are the greatest moments in Harry Potter, not just in the first one, but in the rest. I'll go into detail on each one later on. So that is fantastic. It's good they took their time to develop the characters and not just focus on, the constant action, which is one criticism I'll give on the fourth movie. Overall, the Philosopher's Stone is a successful introduction to the wizarding world. I find it very hard to criticize it. They had a massive job to, present the whole wizarding world, introduce so many new characters, and actually tell the story. Though my one criticism could probably be the last half an hour, which were a little predictable, but still, it's, I find it very hard to criticize it. On the other hand, the Chamber of Secrets does successfully continue the story of Harry and, continues with the themes focused on in the first movie. But there are some more, points I can criticize in that movie, which I will focus on now.
One year ago, he learned the truth.
You're a wizard, Harry.
And his first year at Hogwarts School became legend. And so, for Harry Potter and his friends, another year begins.
Bloody bird's a menace.
So, Chamber of Secrets, as I've said, continues the story with Harry now in his second year, facing a new threat, the opening of the Chamber of Secrets by the heir of Salazar Slytherin. Now, this movie is definitely not perfect. Different to the first movie, we have a number of unfortunate inclusions of rather annoying secondary characters. Take Dobby, for example, or Moaning Myrtle. They really do not add much to the movie, whilst being rather annoying. On the other hand, we do have the inclusion of Gilderoy Lockhart, who is a fantastic character and a great performance by Kenneth Branagh as the professor. He truly gives us an interpretation of a character who could have been very annoying, but instead is incredibly funny. And he is a complete showstopper. He steals the scene from beginning to end. Fantastic performance by Kenneth Branagh. Daniel Radcliffe starts to improve, gives us more emotions, gives us more character for Harry, which is a good thing. Casting and characters aside, the second movie starts to take a darker route. Not too dark, mind you. It's still rather funny, and there still are some very fine moments, and still maintains the warm character moments from the first movie. However, from the beginning, you get the sense that, things are starting to take a turn for the worst in Hogwarts, especially from the beginning when Harry and Ron try to enter into platform 9 3/4 and fail to do so. Then even the tone starts to get a little darker, which is good to see, because we'll see that in the third movie then, and we'll see how it truly works well in the third movie. Now, tonally, the movie shifts from very dark moments to very light moments, and whilst in the third movie that worked really well, in the second movie I felt like it was rather awkward and abrupt at times, and even thematically sometimes the movie deals with some heavy themes, but they feel like they have to compensate for those heavy themes by adding light moments, and it doesn't really work out. You do get the feeling that Chris Columbus is much more comfortable making these lighter movies like the first Harry Potter, who was the perfect director for the first Harry Potter. Perfect. But once the Harry Potter movies start to get a little darker, Chris Columbus is not in his comfort zone. Now, to be clear, the movie excels when Harry, Ron, and Hermione are explored better as characters, and they are explored much better as characters in the second movie than the first one, clearly because there is much more time for that. In the first movie, we had to set up the whole plot, the whole setting, introduce all the characters, so there was no time for that. So in the second movie, we get the time to learn more about Harry, Ron, and Hermione and other characters. I also enjoy the fact that we got to see Malfoy as a more prominent side villain, and we also met his father, who effectively shows us the conflict in loyalties of these ex-Death Eaters who are now trying to live a normal life but still sort of feel this pull back to those evil days. Very effective stuff. Overall, special effects, costume, set design, they're all still very marvelous stuff. However, I do get the feeling that by the second movie, things are already starting to feel a little repetitive, and whilst The Chamber of Secrets is a competent movie on its own, it's probably one of my least favorite Harry Potter movies when I create a list of all of them, which I will do at the very end of this video series I will be making. The decision to move on to a new director for the third movie was a very good one, and this is where Alfonso Cuarón enters into the scene.